So to start with, I'm trying out a couple of new techniques which I think should work nicely when doing online. Usually I do my talks live. No one has really figured it out yet, so I'll try to get myself ahead of the pack. So welcome to figuring out how to turn audit pains into something more pleasurable. And usually on all live talks, every speaker hides the next slide at the end of the talk. I'll bring it up front. Yes, we are hiring. Doesn't come as a surprise. Let's get it over with. Come talk to me later. Quickly about the company. We are a betting exchange, and with that comes regulatory hurdles and headaches like nothing else. We also do real-time trading, which then comes with accounting rules. And because we are an exchange and a gambling company, we hold on to customer funds. All of those combined, in isolation, our auditing headaches as such already, combine them, and you have a very particular mix of toxic brew. The customers mostly care about reliability, latency, and availability. Real-time trading, someone else's money, of course it makes sense. Regulators, on the other hand, they care about responsible gambling, accuracy and fairness, so that the trades we are made actually are matched correctly and they are paid out correctly. They care about money laundering, or more to the point, not having it. We are in an industry where money laundering is a rampant problem, and any avenue of fraud will be used to siphon off money from victims to somewhere else. And they finally care about security. And if you notice, there is a small asterisk, because like everything in a regulation world, they work off of a checklist, which is usually about a decade out of date. And about me, I respond to many names, including hey you. I tend to worry about the workflow, in particular how can we get work done so that things get ahead, and also that anything that's coming off of compliance land impacts workflow and engineering as little as possible. And that's why I try to keep things sane. And sort of a background, last year I spent full 25% of my entire work time either babysitting or appeasing auditors. So those of you who know this, where this is going, it feels, as in all of those time, it feels like this. You are being bent backwards to satisfy the desires of a machine which you don't understand and that has been built to no purpose you can really figure out. But you have to fit in, and it hurts. Right. I think Ashley promised to set up a Q&A, so I'm going to return to this one at the end of the talk. So if you were live, I would ask you a show of hands. In here, I ask you to just click yes or no. I'll see the numbers at the end. So if you are affected directly, or if you have to spend time either babysitting the people who are auditing you, or anything that comes off of them affects your own work, this is for you. And also, anyone who actually spends time on this knows that the questions that you get asked, they feel the same. So all the time, it feels a bit like this. A Groundhog Day, where you experience the same life, same day over and over again, and only small things change. No matter what you do, things are slightly different. And once you have the audit finally done, you get a report, which looks, if all things are realistic, something like this. You have various findings across various categories of different severities. And if you were to work on this, on an item by item, one by one, line by line approach, you would end up spending your life basically doing something like this. So working with findings on a one by one basis is a bit like playing whack-a-mole continuously, where the best case scenario is that some observer from the outside derives some pleasure from it. So instead, what usually happens, you can identify that there are various items that actually are different angles of one and the same thing. And we'll return to this one. So once we actually start to work on this, I'll show you an example, a real example from our system. So this is a recurring pain point. So if you have dealt with auditor or audits in general, one question that comes up every time, again and again, is asset register. And fine, it works wonderfully for hardware. But do you really have an up-to-date list of all your VMs? I don't think so. Especially if we're on any kind of modern stack, VMs come and go. They are transient and they are supposed to go away. Your asset register is actually the scaling definition, which is live. But auditors and regulators don't really understand that yet. So what you end up doing is effectively telling them that while they have heard about immutable infrastructure and auto scaling, they don't really understand it. So especially in our industry and almost any industry, regulations tend to be out by a decade, and people who are writing the rules don't really understand the cloud at all. They barely understand the internet, to be fair, but cloud is even trickier. On the other hand, the bright side is that auditors love code reviews, although for the wrong reasons. We do it to improve code quality and to improve engineering culture and code behavior. They see a wonderful manifestation of cover your backside behavior and finger pointing records. Not a good idea. So we have to educate them. The thing is, as I mentioned earlier, solving this in isolation would be counterproductive. So let's not do that. Another one. So the question which comes up again as well is host patch management. How do you keep your hosts up to date? Always, how do you ensure it? How do you prove it? How do you monitor this? How do you ensure that there are no known vulnerabilities or problems in the fleet? Yeah. At this point, it should be obvious, but there is a clear solution to both of these questions, which actually makes life for you and engineering teams you work with much easier. Since we already mentioned that we have immutable infra and scaling systems, let's put the aggressive views. Scale systems up as you need and scale them down aggressively. You know that the oldest ones will die out and the new ones come in. So what happens is that you get effectively a continuous stream of new systems. Combine this with daily updates. Whatever you have there baking comes up with all the latest upgrades installed. So when you get a new one system in, it's fresh and it's secure and it's good and it's happy. And anything that's going out, you know that it was already out of date. You don't have to care about it. It gives your window of vulnerability really down, and it's really easy to explain. And here's the thing, the third point is that you can actually educate auditors. They do understand the concepts, and once you explain that it is like reinstalling a system on demand every 5 minutes as you want, they figure it out. And also emphasize to them that modifying a live system, patching a host once it's been launched, is in fact a bad smell, or even an anti-pattern. And where I mentioned that we are aiming for pleasure, a fleet that operates on these principles enforces that any application there must live with the fact that hosts are transient. They must handle failures and failovers and retries correctly. This is kind of service which we all aim for and all gloss about. These are the kinds of things we read on blog posts. But this is something that actually, it doesn't need to be black magic or anything else. And again, auditors wouldn't be auditors if they weren't asking the questions that you already heard. So the thing is, snapshots from a web console don't work. Don't even try. As we just saw on dashboards, we all have bird's eye views into production. We all know what the fleet is doing. So why not show median and max age for hosts? In fact, a real example of our system is that the median age of our CI fleet systems is less than 36 hours. So that's a pretty good goal. And once you have these numbers up somewhere, if the max age starts to creep up so that it's embarrassing, either okay, I want to cycle that manually, or even better, figure out how to take the manual step out and make your own life even easier. And if you remember just one thing from this talk, let it please be a single soundbite. Correct amount of host configuration is 0. And I do mean 0. Don't touch them. Right, back to auditors. They love reports. We love data and we love good service. Auditors want to see records of everything. And anyone who works on this deals with audit trails all the time. For them, it's raw material. For us, it's more like something we drown into. And it is decidedly not a fun thing to experience. But where does the data to those trails come from? So here I'm going to show my hubris. I haven't seen this written down anywhere else, so I did it. I claim, and I'm putting my name to this, any data that is used only in audit reports is absolutely useless. So, easy rule of thumb, don't generate any data for just satisfy compliance and audit needs. They are leaf systems and they are effectively orphans. If you have data that is only going to report that is never read, no one cares about it. If it's data that someone actually cares about, you have an incentive to fix it as soon as things go wild. And solution is pretty trivial. So anything that goes into reports that you need to maintain synthesizes from real data. Something you actually actively need to use or someone needs to use. So when it breaks, you'll know it. And also when eventually you need to dig the reports out, you won't be doing it in a mad rush. And there is an upside to this. If there is some data that you absolutely need and you need to provide reports for, try to find some way of making it useful so that somebody cares about it. And here's the thing, it's actually harder than you think because I can't help you. I don't know your business, only you do. It has to be something that is basically only custom made for your business needs, your organization, your engineers, your workflow. I'm sure there are consultants who will happily come in, charge big money, and tell you things you already knew. But if you are using them, you may want to question something. Maybe your choices in life, or at least your sanity. And if we have the poll results from Ashley, cool. Do I have numbers?
We do. We have 43% said that their work is directly affected by auditors and their results, and 57% said no. So they're the lucky ones.
Okay, thank you. So slightly less than half of the 70-odd people who are still left in the audience, you actually have experienced this, and the 60% of you, as in you get to know the kind of pain you now can avoid, and also why, when something comes in your way from outside of the company, why it's being shoveled your way at all. So if you can enjoy life without it, enjoy while you can. So in a nutshell, this as a treat compliance and audits as an engineering problem. When something fails in production, we don't massage the symptoms. We go for the jugular. We find the root cause and fix that one. Same way we can do that when they are identified issues from audits and audit reports, identify the underlying cause and fix that. Usually you end up ticking a whole bunch of boxes out. Don't repeat yourself. Keep it dry. So whatever data is going to one place, and try to reuse it. Simply because if you have to build a new source of truth for some purpose, it's unlikely that someone else cares about it. So use what is available and only build new stuff where you absolutely have to. And then if you are dealing with an organization where you don't have much of a say normally, there's a silver lining. Anything coming off of regulators and auditors has potential to really make your life miserable. Not just for you, but for everyone in the company. So if you can find an underlying reason and you know that there is a solution or an approach which will address that, and at the same time make engineering life easier, more sane, more palatable, and overall make it easier to actually get your work done. Go for it. That's your selling point. Cost of compliance is real. If you can reduce cost of compliance by making engineering life better, the uptake and sellability should be pretty high. And as I said in the beginning, or a few minutes ago, if you remember nothing else from this talk, please remember this one. Correct amount of host config which you want to aim for is flat 0. Thank you.